You know what I've come for. This is the way.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Hello and welcome to the Podawakens. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Logan Stumph.
That was wild. I had Kylo Ren in my ear. That was kind of sensual, but that was pretty cool. I like that one. I don't know if I've ever listened to that intro before.
Oh, you probably haven't. I usually had it in post, but now we have it where we can listen to it while we're getting ready.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to finish the road to Book of Boba Fett. We had some family stuff and, all that kind of stuff come up for the holidays, so we didn't get a chance to finish that. I probably will go back and do that at least. But the road to the Book of Boba Fett continues as now we're there. We're off the exit. We're driving into the Book of Boba Fett now.
That's going to hurt.
Good thing it's not like an actual physical book, I guess. And but yeah, we are here. It's been building up for a year, right? Mandalorian season 2 wrapped up around this week, I think, last year, if I remember correctly. No, December 18th. Okay, so it was December 18th that we saw the end credit scene of Mandalorian season 2, which showed Boba Fett taking over for Bib Fortuna, and he is going to rule with respect, as he will say quite a bit in this show and the trailers. But yeah, we are here. What does it feel like to finally be here, Logan?
It doesn't feel real. I mean, these last 2 years have kind of been a time warp anyway, so just kind of leading up into this year, it really does feel like it was yesterday that we were finishing up Mandalorian season 2 and leading ourselves into Book of Boba Fett with him sitting on that throne at the end of that show and that season. So I don't know. It feels like it's gone fast. It feels like we're in hyperspeed, and it feels good because I was excited for the Book of Boba Fett, and so far so good, I think. So I guess we'll get into that some, but yeah, it's been a whirlwind, it seems, and there's been a drought of Star Wars stuff, so I'm excited to get some Star Wars stuff.
Pretty big couple weeks here for Jon Favreau, being in a movie that just made $1 billion some in no time with Spider-Man No Way Home, and now here he is in directing, and well, he wrote this one, but creating and writing the Book of Boba Fett here, which is pretty big couple weeks here for Jon Favreau, and I don't know how he finds the time to fit any of this stuff in, but he makes it work, I guess. Yeah, so I guess let's go ahead and get into it a bit here. We're talking about the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1. That's right, guys. This is not a complete story in the first episode, like the reviews at Hollywood Reporter would like you to think. Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Jon Favreau, and released December 29th, 2021 on Disney+. We get our standard Star Wars and WandaVision-esque synopsis here. Boba Fett holds court. We don't get to really know anything else about the episode before we watch it. But what's just your overall initial thoughts, Logan, as you sat down to watch Boba Fett hold court in Stranger in a Strange Land?
So I was excited, and I'm always nervous going into these kind of shows just because of the characters that existed before and their storylines. They seem to come to an end, but it seems like Jon Favreau does a fantastic job of bringing people back from the dead, or from what was dead. I know a lot of people that know Star Wars, not just canon, that know everything about Star Wars, know that Boba was not dead necessarily in the Sarlacc pit. But I think that initially my thoughts were, I hope they don't ruin Boba Fett for me, because I liked how he had come back into play with Mandalorian, and I like Boba Fett as a character because I've always enjoyed just kind of his, I guess, badassery, but also his, I don't know, his cunningness, his ability to kind of get into people's heads and things like that. Just kind of sits there and takes up headspace rent free. So I've always liked Boba Fett. I was really scared that, you know, this might be a bad thing for Boba Fett, but again, everything that Jon Favreau seems to touch is turning to gold these days. So after watching it through the first time, it was fantastic. It was everything that I wanted it to be. I think it's building up into something really nice, and I think that the character arc of Boba Fett, I think we're going to get an extension of just who this character is and what kind of makes up Boba Fett as the character, fills in some gaps that we needed filled in, because I think there's a lot of missing pieces that we haven't gotten yet, and we got a lot with that first episode. That first chapter was great. So I love the title too. I thought the title was fitting just because he is a stranger in a strange land, and it seems like he's trying to find his way. And this Boba Fett's a lot different than I think the Boba Fett we saw, you know, New Hope. And I think that, you know, going forward, I think we're going to see a more personal side of him, just like we did in Mando.
Yeah, you know, and I think Stranger in a Strange Land works in kind of two regards, right? You have, he's never been the crime lord, and he's kind of learning. He's kind of learning as he's going through the episode. You know, Fennec's like, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. And then he's also the stranger in a strange land in the flashbacks, when he is literally, he cannot communicate with the Tuskens at first, you know, and he's literally trapped and a stranger to their culture. So has a nice little like double meaning there. My dog is snoring. I wonder if anybody can hear that. But anyway, we are going into the plot here. So we kind of open up with it, you know, the camera moving through Jabba's palace, and it goes to the Bacta tank that's there. And we see Boba in the Bacta tank, and we start seeing some flashbacks. We start seeing Kamino, just a like short, very short, you know, like a wave hitting, you know, one of the Kamino floating cities. And then we see Geonosis with young Boba holding Jango's helmet. And now this is actually an alternative take of the scene. It's not exactly ripped out of Attack of the Clones. And it actually has a new background, too. It looks a little different. I saw some side-by-side comparison stuff. Let me see if I can locate that, I guess. Trying to see if I can find something quickly about it. I know I just saw it somewhere today, too.
Well, I can say something as you're...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, Kamino, that was cool to see. And like you said, it was really quick. It gave you like a small glimpse as to what was going on when he's in the healing chamber. But then seeing him on Geonosis, young Boba with Jango's helmet, you know, just sitting there. And like you said, it was almost identical to the scene that had, you know, taken place in the earlier sagas. But it seemed like when he was looking at it, it was just a little different because it kind of pans down on him, where it kind of goes into a zoom. So you don't quite get to see everything around him of Geonosis, but you do get to see that it's that similar scene. I actually, I'm an idiot. I was like, I wonder if that's the same kid. And then I'm like, that kid would be... I was such an idiot. I was like, oh my gosh, they brought that kid back. And I'm going, no, that kid would be like 20 something. So...
Yeah, he's much older than that now.
Yeah.
But no, he is in. So the scene over the shoulder is a new shot where they got a body double to film, but the wide shots are from the movie, just a different take, I think they said. So if you're a visual watcher of the episode, this is the side by side. The top is from Attack of the Clones, and the bottom is from the episode that we just watched here. So that is Daniel Logan as Boba Fett there, in both shots here. But then when they do the over the shoulder shot and you see the helmet, then that is a different view, with a body double. But I was very excited for that. I mean, look, when Brandon and I were doing this Road to Book of Boba Fett stuff, which we got through most of the big stuff. We got through the actual movies, Clone Wars. We just didn't get a chance to really go through The Mandalorian, the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, where Boba doesn't do a lot anyway. So we kind of got up to this point here. But it was kind of nice. It felt like I was going full circle into it, like, oh, we're seeing stuff that I was just revisiting like a month ago to prepare for this. And it's nice to see that and kind of acknowledge, yes, this is where he is coming from. He's having these, what he will call dreams. So it's not just for our benefit. He's actually, having dreams about this. And then we move to new things where we see Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit, which I wasn't sure we'd actually get. I thought maybe we'd just get the part where he gets out of it. But he's in the Sarlacc pit. He's struggling to breathe. He sees a stormtrooper down there, and he's able to use the oxygen. And then he uses his flamethrower to kind of get himself out of the Sarlacc. And we see that gauntlet just come out of the sand, which was a nice shot. As you see Jabba's sail barge in the background, all destroyed. But yeah, I mean, it was such a great moment to actually see it. And then we see the Mandalorian armor stolen by Jawas, which we already knew happened from Aftermath, the book, and also from the season 2 premiere of Mandalorian, where Cobb Vanth gets the armor from Jawas. So it kind of starts putting all the pieces together. And then that's where this batch of the flashbacks continue. I remember being like, wow, these flashbacks are going on for a bit. He's captured by Tusken Raiders, who will take him back to their encampment. And he's going to attempt to escape at some point. But the Rodian that he asks, who's also captured with him, and he says, hey, man, do you want me to free you as well? And the guy sounds the alarm, and Boba gets caught, and he has to fight. And he loses the fight, and he gets dragged back to the encampment again. So what was your take here on, because, I mean, really the first however long this is barely any speaking, really. I don't think we even really hear Boba speak until he asks the Rodian if he wants to get cut free. So what was your thoughts on that? Because I think some people were probably put off by it.
Yeah, I know this is where a lot of people had trouble with the episode. It's like it just got started. I know one thing they had a big problem with that they all kept getting hung up on, and maybe Jordan, more than I guess. Maybe you can explain how that happened, but a stormtrooper inside the Sarlacc, how does a stormtrooper? People kept getting hung up on the fact that why is there a stormtrooper? And I watched a lot of YouTube videos of the breakdown to kind of see what everybody else's reactions were. And this was one that made people mad or upset because they're like, well, why is there a stormtrooper inside the Sarlacc? That doesn't make sense. There's no stormtroopers on Tatooine right now. And it's like, I mean, 1,000 years it takes to digest. So this could have been,
exactly. It could have been down there for a while.
It made no sense.
Let's think about it. Boba is in the Sarlacc from the end of Return of the Jedi. I'm pretty sure the Empire still has a presence in Return of the Jedi. I mean, obviously, stormtroopers were kind of more of a presence in A New Hope because they were looking for the droids. But that doesn't mean they went away, to my knowledge. They're probably still hanging out there, trying to, I guess, take whatever they can. But this could have just been some guy a few days beforehand that fell in. We don't know. It could have been from years ago, from A New Hope. where he got in there and is digesting for that long. We don't know. I understand people being like, well, why didn't we see more of Jabba's people that fell in there? Maybe because they both were helmeted people, it was taking longer to digest.
Yeah.
Because it probably doesn't want to eat the armor. So maybe if it's a fleshy person, it probably might start to really wear them down easier. I don't know.
Well, that's what they were talking about. Obviously, the Beskar is going to be harder to digest for the monster. But I think the other thing too that I don't think people realize is that the Jawas got a hold of his suit. So what makes you think that they didn't get a hold of somebody else and that had the suit on as a stormtrooper? Something like that. Like what happens if somehow they had gotten a hold of a suit, or somehow one of the clones had fallen in? But people were really caught up on it. But I love this. Like I think so many fans outside of just your general fan wanted to know just how does Boba Fett get out of the Sarlacc pit? And I know there's different renditions of how he gets out. But this one uses that gas inside the stormtrooper to get out of the Sarlacc, and then explodes that gas that gets out. It explodes to get out of the Sarlacc pit, and then just that scene of him like coming out of the sand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's so awesome because it's Boba with all of his gear on, the traditional gear that we've always seen forever, and he's got it on, and it's covered in sand. It's covered in like mucus and stuff because he just breaks out of this monster and comes up through the sand. I thought it was an awesome start to the show. And then, like you said, I think a lot of people were put off because it's so slow to get started because he doesn't really have much interaction with anybody for a while. But that I think Star Wars is so good with that, though. I think there's so many times where they don't need to say anything. You're just trying to set up that atmosphere, and that's what they do with this. You set up the Jawas who have a different language. Like if you're able to hear what the other languages are, there are people saying things. You're just hearing sounds because we don't speak the language.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was very interesting. I didn't think we'd actually see inside the Sarlacc. I thought maybe they'd just cut to him breaking out.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that we kind of got to see what it looked like inside of there, and how it's essentially like seems to be suffocating them, right? Like that's what it seems to be doing, and how it probably kills them first like that, and then starts digesting it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was just very cool to see that, and then we start getting to some of the complaints are just absurd. I'm sorry. I saw complaints that we shouldn't have seen inside the Sarlacc pit. I saw complaints saying we didn't see enough of him inside the Sarlacc pit, that it took too short of a time to get out. Some people said it took too long for him to get out. Some people say that, there's just all this stuff. You know what? Just stop going in with expectations and just watch it for what it is.
Yeah.
We see this all the time with the Marvel shows where people are like upset at the end of Hawkeye because Spider-Man didn't show up, or, stuff where people are judging it off of different merits than what's actually there. I referenced the Hollywood Reporter one, but I definitely recommend somebody reading that because the opening line is about how I'll read it. Let me read it real quick. Actually, if I can locate it. The premiere, written by Jon Favreau and directed by Robert Rodriguez, feels more like filler, or rather, more like a chapter in a larger narrative than an actual book of its own. You don't say.
What's the title of the
first episode of the show. It's called The Book of Boba Fett, so I can understand why you want to think it's a book. But it says Chapter 1. How many books do you know, Logan, that Chapter 1 is just a self-contained story?
You know what, Jordan? A lot of it's just filler. A lot of it's just information. I really just needed to know.
Here's the thing. This happens before this show. It's happened before the Marvel shows. People use the word filler wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They did it for Mandalorian as well. But, what they would say is, people would say it on even shows like, Lost or The Office. People would say, oh, this episode was filler. It's okay to have filler episodes, but also for this, it's called setup. They're setting the stage for the other 6 episodes here that we have after this. Filler has just gotten to a point where people say, I didn't like this episode. There was not enough action scenes, so it's filler. And that drives me nuts because we've had people saying that about so many shows, not just these shows. So don't think I'm just defending these shows. People just don't know how to use the word anymore. It's like when people use the word plot hole and they use it for anything that isn't just outright stated, when you can just put it together and put 2 + 2 together and figure out that there wasn't a plot hole.
Right. And
it just wasn't shown on screen or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a plot hole. It's something that's happening outside of the story, so it's not necessarily a plot hole. It's more
like some people would be like, a plot hole, like, well, how did he get a Bacta tank inside of Jabba's palace? I don't know. It happened off screen. We don't need to know about it.
Right.
People use plot hole for a lot of stuff that is not actually plot holes in any show. That's why I haven't really seen that many complaints about plot holes in this, but yeah, I've seen plot holes in complaint of No Way Home and Endgame and stuff. And some of them, it's like not plot holes, And if you read any articles from, like sites like Screen Rant or whatever, they don't know what they're talking about either with plot holes.
They don't know what they're doing anyway. So
I just had to rant about plot holes and filler episodes. It's driving me nuts. It's like people can't just, what else this is a byproduct of? The byproduct of the Netflix model.
Yeah. The binge.
Where you have everybody binging it. They don't realize that some of these other shows have slower paced episodes as well because they breeze through all 8 or 13 of them on Netflix.
Right.
And then they just think of it as one whole show. Oh, that whole season was good.
It's like the show You. Like the show You is all, if you really want to consider it, the show You is the first episode and the last episode are the ones where everything happens to him. It's almost just like everything else.
Yet. Don't spoil anything.
So when they all die.
I read the book though.
But it's weird. And they used to say the same thing about Harry Potter, but I'm like, you're just the movie watchers. You didn't even read the books. That's not a plot hole. The people that read the stories or read the comics or read these backstories of Star Wars or know all these novels and all this stuff that's in canon and Lucasfilm and everything else. Like you've read a ton more than I have. So you know a lot more of, like, you can just connect the dots based off of what you know. So it's not plot holes. It's just that you're lacking the information that you need. So it's not a plot hole when you're, when things aren't happening just because they're not in the movie. Otherwise the TV show would be about 8 hours long.
Right.
So we fill in all the plot holes. All right, where were we?
Yeah, sorry. It just drives me nuts with.
I get it.
Because it's infecting. And I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going. I guess it's infecting every single facet of life now. When you look on the computer, it is literally every movie is plot holes. Every show is filler. If they don't have enough, it's literally like at the point of if it doesn't have a big action scene for something like Star Wars or Marvel, they're like, oh, this one's filler.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, you don't have to watch this one. This one's filler. This one's filler, Logan. Don't watch this one. Skip over this one. And it's like, just let them set it up. If you want to wait and binge them all, wait and binge them all then. I mean, and people can have issues with the episode. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, don't use the wrong terminology.
I was listening to one of your, I think it was with Jack when you were doing No Way Home with Spider-Man and Marvel. I think you said it perfect. You said people almost go to these movies now, just in these TV shows, just for the end credit scenes.
Yeah.
Like just for that. Like they're not there to actually take in the movie anymore. It's just like, what's happening next? And
well, you know what? Sorry, you can go continue.
I mean, that's like a fallacy of a human being. I mean, that's us trying to be like, oh, we just want to know what's next because we always want to know. I'm totally okay with Disney doing what they do. And people have a lot of beef with them letting them do weeks out. So like you do it by week, drop an episode by week. I love it. Like I love when I have to wait till next week to figure out what's going on.
We wouldn't be able to do this right now.
Right.
We would not be. You know what we would be doing? I'd be like, okay, what episode are you up to, Logan? And you'd be like, I'm at 4. I'm like, okay, I'm at 5. So watch the next 2, and then I'll watch. We'll watch till 7, and then we'll have to just do one show or whatever. Or you have to like produce an episode for each one anyway, and take it at your own pace. and then nobody's going to listen to the middle ones. They'll like, if somebody binges it, they'll just listen to the last episode. But no, I was saying that about the Marvel stuff, and it's becoming at a point true. Like a lot of the talk around Eternals was, oh, did you guys see the end credit scenes? And that's what it almost has become, to the point of like, I remember when we were at, some point in Marvel where that's like what most of the discussion was. You'd get out of a movie like Age of Ultron and be like, oh, what'd you think of the end credit scene? And that's what everybody's question always was. What'd you think of the end credit scene though? And,
it only makes sense in Thor Dark World.
Right.
It only makes sense in Thor Dark World to ask.
Yeah, that's the only one that's the only that's the only good thing about Thor the Dark World. But no, actually they didn't have good end credit scenes in those.
They didn't either.
But we're not a Marvel podcast right now, but just the point being, kind of enjoy what you are I'm not telling you to enjoy it. What I'm saying is kind of just judge it on its own merits. Not everything has to be, give me the next thing right now.
Right.
It's at the same point now where as soon as Spider-Man came out, people are like, when do we get the Doctor Strange trailer? When do we get the Doctor Strange trailer? Well, it was in the end credit scenes of Spider-Man, but for people that didn't know that at the time. And then now I saw somebody ask James Gunn, when are we getting the Guardians Volume 3 trailer? Let me tell you, that movie doesn't come out until 2023. And James Gunn said, I'm not even a third of the way through filming. That was his response to it on Twitter.
I can't even spell trailer right now. But... No, but it's like I saw so much backlash on YouTube on these channels that usually do really well with Star Wars. I just had a really big problem with it. They said it was like a slow burn. It was too much time spent on the flashbacks or little. I was like, it's one episode. This would be like if you watch any pilot of any TV show and go, yeah, you know what? I think it's just going to be a lot of filler. Like, could you imagine watching Friends? The first Friends episode is not good, but it's good because you like it. It's nostalgic. It's a good feeling. Like, you really have to get into a show.
That one's just filler, Logan. They don't set up any of the show. All right. No.
Mandalorian,
they didn't show us anything about Rachel's husband or her husband to be in that one.
Yeah, no, or how Ross felt. But the Mandalorian, if you go back to Mandalorian
started off the same way.
Without Grogu at the end of episode 1 in season 1, you'd have had the same thing. You would have been going.
There already was complaints, especially when the episode was only 40 minutes long for Mandalorian, and I saw the same complaints for this. I heard somebody say that it was embarrassingly short.
Yeah,
we should just know by now that the Disney shows, for especially Star Wars, the Marvel ones have been longer.
Yeah,
outside of WandaVision, but that was because they were going for sitcom. These episodes in particular for The Mandalorian and the ones done by Favreau and Filoni have generally been anywhere from 28 minutes to an hour. So when I looked it up and I saw 38 minutes, I said, that seems right. That seems right for Boba Fett. I mean, that's what we've been getting. So I had no issue with the length. And then actually I felt they fit a lot of stuff in here. For really people saying that there's nothing here, we get to see a lot. So in the present day, let's kind of get back on track here. In the present day, Boba and Fennec Shand are taking control of, Jabba's old empire, and they're in Jabba's palace, and they have a man come in. He is a Twi'lek. His name is he's a major domo to to the mayor of Mos Espa. So that is what his job title is. And he comes in and he and I saw some complaints about this guy too. I thought he was good. They
say he's too human.
Yeah. Not all Twi'leks have to speak like how Bib Fortuna did. I mean, it's kind of like the same way, like all people don't speak the same. Like you're going to get some accents. You're going to get some that might not have an accent anymore because they work so long doing whatever they're doing. But this guy comes in and he pretty much is saying that he doesn't have a tribute for Boba, but that Boba should actually be giving the mayor a tribute. And Boba takes this as a little bit of a slight, right? Because if it was Jabba, he's thinking, this is not what they would be doing if this was Jabba. That they're kind of disrespecting him because he's not Jabba is kind of what I was getting from this.
Yeah.
And I actually love when this guy leaves and, well, one, I love Boba saying, I'm confused. That's going to be like one of my GIF responses now. Anytime I'm confused, it's going to be Boba saying I'm confused on his throne. But, he's confused. He's like, I don't get what you're asking. And Fennec's like, well, they're suggesting you give the mayor something. And he's like, no, what you're getting is being able to leave alive. Now, this guy, I think, is appreciative of that, but he does warn them. And I like the way he says this, too, that, a further or future delegation, don't be surprised you'll be getting if you get like a future delegation. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool. We're going to probably get a lot of the political aspect in how Tatooine and the crime stuff is kind of running. And the mayor is not a big surprise. If you've seen trailers, you've seen the mayor in there, so it's not like a big reveals waiting. But what was your thoughts on kind of this slight? Boba Fett's one of the most famous bounty hunters in the region. Why would they kind of slight him just because he's not Jabba? I feel like I would still be kind of worried about the repercussions of slighting Boba Fett here.
Yeah, and I feel like they know what's going on with Mando too. Like I feel like that's that's days after where Mando is, or days, like they know what the Mandalorian are, and I think that they know what Mando does, they know what he does, they know what bounty hunters are capable of. I'm shocked that they kind of go at him like this, and that's probably one of my favorite scenes. It's so like Godfather-esque. It's like he's sitting on this throne, and these people are trying to please him any way they can. They're offering him all sorts of praise and different things like that. I think my favorite part was when Fennec goes, "Should I kill him?" And he goes, "No, he works for the mayor." And he's like, "Is that a no?" "Yeah, that's a no." It was like, "Yeah, we're not going to kill him." But it is very different from Jabba, because honestly, you just see Jabba motion and go, "All right, we're going to kill him." And that's just the way that Jabba operated. But like you said, Jordan, I think
Jabba would have sent him to the Rancor. He would have been like,
it's like, how dare you? But no, like the fact that he's basically telling him that he needs to bow down to the mayor, and the mayor is in charge here. When clearly Boba is not used to ruling with an iron fist yet. So he's kind of like, okay, I guess we just do what he wants. I don't really know what's happening. Whereas Fennec's trying to go, hey, this is what's happening. They're trying to play you. They're trying to say that they're, powerful and more powerful than you will ever be. But I just thought it was really funny. I thought it was a good setup. I thought the scene was great just because I love seeing him on the throne. Like I just couldn't stop looking at him on Jabba's throne, because I loved it at the end credit scene back in Mando. And now I love him just sitting there like a boss with the helmet on, sitting there with Fennec next to him, getting ready to take out whoever he wants to take out. Yet that's not how he's going to rule, at least not from what we've seen so far. So it was good.
Yeah, I liked, he will kill somebody with an iron fist later. But what I like about Boba is, that he is talking more about ruling with respect and all this kind of stuff. And I saw some similar complaints online about how people say that they've, made Boba too much of a good guy in this.
Yeah, too soft, yeah.
But like I said, he literally blows somebody up in this. But he very much is the same character. And even some of the old books that are not canon anymore, like he talks about how he thinks, like sex without being married is immoral, because apparently Jabba sends Leia to his chambers in one of the books, So like he has an honor, a code of honor that he follows. And for all the people saying that, that's not how Boba's is, I mean, even Jango is talked about as being an honorable man many times in the original, prequels, and in the Clone Wars, where they talk about how Jango was an honorable person. The reason he's on the side of the Separatists is because they were the ones paying him. He was a bounty hunter. That's what bounty hunters do. They kind of can flip-flop. But we've seen even in Mandalorian, Boba keep his word. He says he will help Din, Jaren find Grogu, and once that's done, they can go their separate ways. And now that's done, and he went his separate ways. And that's kind of where we're at right now. And we're going to see progressively how he does this. And one thing I like too is, they suggest, even Fennec is suggesting he kill those 2 Gamorrean guards that used to work with Jabba and Bib Fortuna. And he says, no, you were, he appreciates that they were honorable. He says, you were loyal to your 2 previous bosses. Will you be loyal to me? And they say, yeah. So he says, welcome aboard. And they show that. They show they're loyal when they're in that skirmish in the middle of Mos Espa, where he's able to count on them to help him out. I mean, because him and Fennec were kind of stuck with those shields until they came up and helped them get out.
Yeah, so it's the Mandalorian code, because I was thinking about this the whole time through. It says, strength is life, for the strong have the right to rule. Honor is life, for with no honor, no one, or one may as well be dead. Death is life, one should die as they've lived. Well, Jin and Boba, they both live by that rule. I mean, they both live by that fact that they're going to honor whoever they need to honor, and there's no better honor than doing right by people and respecting people and ruling with respect. And it isn't until people go against their respect, and that's when Mandalorians see them as people that should not exist anymore. Like that's when you have issues with Mandalorians, is when you've got the idea of no honor, no respect anymore, and the people just they'll react to it. So the Mandalorian, like Boba Fett, like Din, I think they go in, and I think that there's a code they live by, and if you break that code, they're going to ultimately just try to kill you, because I think they think you're no longer honoring our code. We're living by this code of honor. That's how we run life, and if you don't follow along, then that's not the way that you should live, so you must die. Like, that's the way I've always thought of them.
So after he receives tribute, he decides he's going to go to the Sanctuary, which is a cantina in Mos Espa, and he's going to collect tribute there as well. But what I liked about it is this conversation between him and Fennec Shand beforehand, where Fennec's saying, like, you should be like, what was she saying? Like, you should be like carried around or ferried around.
Yeah, you need to be carried around like Boba, basic, or like Jabba was.
And he's pretty much like, no, I can walk.
Like, I can
pretty
walk
much his response.
That's like when he's walking around with the Gamorrean army, and he's or the 2 guards, and he's just like, this is it's very like, you should be up on like a throne, just like Jabba, and he's just like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, he's like, I can walk. Like, why would I need to do that? And it makes sense, because he's been through some stuff. So even if you say beforehand, even if you were going to say beforehand that Boba is acting differently, we see why he might be acting differently when he goes through. When we see more flashbacks of him kind of being worked as like a slave to help find this water, and being tortured and all this kind of stuff, where, when they get into this skirmish in the city here, with the assassins, right? He tells Fennec to keep them alive. One, probably because he wants information on who's behind it. But 2, I think they even all suggest like torturing them, and he's against that. He's against that because he kind of had gone through that. So he's going to rule a little bit differently. He says it to Fennec, I'm going to rule with respect, not fear. We'll see if it works for him, because fear worked because people were scared they were going to die. But, you can earn people's respect and have them love you as well. And I think that's what he wants to do, because look, if you're ruling with respect, you probably don't have as many enemies to actually take you out and kill you. So it's a little bit more stability than ruling with fear. Ruling with fear, I feel like, creates enemies that will want to take you out.
I mean, look at all of Star Wars. I mean, even with the Jedi, Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, they all try to rule with fear. I mean, every leader that's tried to rule with fear ultimately ends up in their own demise, because they make so many people mad. That, I mean, it's hard. It's much easier to get respect of people and then scare them than to just try to scare them, because ultimately that fear will just turn into anger because they've got no respect for you. So it's like, okay, now I'll kill you because I don't respect where your anger or where your rule's coming from. I just respect the fact that, or I don't respect the fact that you're trying to scare me.
Mm-hmm. So we get this skirmish here, but we also get, let's talk about this, when they run into this sanctuary, which is not just a cantina. I don't know. We got like this buff Twi'lek who is shirtless, and we got like this other Twi'lek that's kind of dressed a little scantily. And then we have, and they're offering to wash Boba and Fennec's helmets.
Yeah.
Fennec doesn't want to. Boba's like, yeah, clean this up for me. That sounds great. And he says, take Fennec's too.
I didn't trust them at all. Like, I was like, something bad's going to happen. I don't trust
it. Comes back pretty quick. Let me tell you, the way they cleaned it came back super quick.
Yeah.
But, and we run into the person that runs the cantina, Garsa Fwip.
Mm-hmm.
What an odd name for, like.
It's very Star Wars, though.
It is very Star Wars.
Like, what was the dude?
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
Garsa
the little
Fwip.
guy from, or the little cheese. Now it's like from Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker. What's the little
Babu
dude?
Freak.
Thank you.
Babu Frick. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of has the same little.
Yeah. So they collect tribute from her. They're going to leave, and that's when they get attacked by assassins that have these shields. I saw a lot of people complaining about this too, that Boba didn't jetpack out of there. I don't have a problem with it.
No.
The jetpack can solve anything if you let it. So I'd rather see some more interesting stuff. But Fett gets wounded. He's going to have to go back to the palace and get back in the bacta tank while Fennec tracks down and does all this parkour on the buildings, rooftops, which I thought was really cool and stunning visually.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to track them down. She pushes one off the roof, so I guess she killed him. I don't know. And then she's like, well, I only need to keep one of these alive, so I'll kind of scare this guy and kill this one. And then
perfect assassin.
Then we'll take this one. And then we get more flashbacks after that. So really not a lot in the present day.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some people complaining again that there wasn't an inciting incident in this episode. This is it. The story is going to be based around him taking over Jabba's rule here, but this is an assassination attempt, and he's probably the incident is him finding out who did it, and I guess that's his enemy. So we'll find out how he takes it from there, but I thought that was pretty clear.
And plus, I don't think they've ever come out and said, but this could totally be a second season too coming. So like, it's not like they've got the 7 episodes and they need to hash it all out right now. Like this is perfect because you've got a character that we've known forever that's conflicted, that's had a really rough past. I mean, he loses what essentially is his dad, obviously, or his clone. And it's like a fitting story. Like watching Django die. And having to see that, witness that, as even though as a clone, he's a kid. So there's so many scars that that Boba has, and even going forward, I'm sure there's more that we're going to see because they do bring up the different planets, one that he's raised on, one that he's seen horrible tragedy in, and so I think that he is going to get to see the fall of his people and the fall of the clones, and I think that there's going to be a lot that weighs in on Boba, and I think that this is a perfect setup because, like you said, Jordan, I think the flashbacks, I thought they were perfect. I thought it was perfectly timed. I thought this was out of 10, I would give this like an 8.5. I thought this was like a really good episode just because it really did. It gave me all the background information that I was missing, that I wanted to know about Boba, and there's still so much more to those stories. I can't wait to see how they unravel them.
Yeah, I think, I'll save my thoughts for after this, I guess. Because then we kind of get in the bacta tank, more flashbacks here, where we see Boba and the Rodian are now being forced to dig for pods that contain little water rocks, something like that contains water.
Yeah, rocks. I don't know if they were.
The Rodian, I heard this described as this, and I think it's true. The Rodian has Stockholm syndrome because he, sounded the alarm on Boba. He gets the water and he's like, yeah, I got it. Like he's happy to help them. He's got like this Stockholm syndrome. And then we have the sand creature that comes out and just kills the poor Rhodey, and I felt bad for him. He keeps pushing him into the sand. He's dead. And yes, I was very worried about the Massive, which is the the dog-like lizard.
Yeah.
I was slow, like, don't kill him off. Don't kill off the dog. Don't kill off the dog. And Boba gets, he's kind of captured because of the Rhodian is chained to him. He's going to use the chains and pull a Leia, right? And choke the creature with the chains. Maybe he picked that up from there. I don't know.
I was going to say he saw that and was like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So he does that. And then I guess they chop the head off, take it back to the thing. But the child Tusken Raider appreciates it. The child Tusken Raider is loving this one because it was about to kill the Tusken Raider when Boba comes and kills it. And then, he has now earned their respect. Like, you could have let that kill the Tusken Raider and you could have then killed it and then you could have been free.
Right.
But you saved my life, and I'm telling all my family as I'm carrying around the head of it that you killed it. And you even see the kid like holding up like its stick, chain, like the chain was. And I guess I don't know if it's the father of the child or not, but comes over and gives a pod or the rock to Boba and says, "Here's your water." And that's pretty much the end of the episode. Yeah. But what I thought was nice about that is, where we had seen Boba in The Mandalorian, he was wearing Tusken Raider stuff. He had the gaffy stick. Like, he was a part of their culture, it seemed. And now we kind of know why. He was able to infiltrate them from just earning respect. And I wonder, if it wasn't because of just how he was before, if this is now why he wants to rule with respect. It could be any of those things.
And I think he saw Jabba. I mean, he obviously sees Jabba dead. So, he's like, okay, well, that didn't work out well when he tried to rule with fear. So, I mean, I think it's a lot of it's a culmination of everything that he's gone through, everything that he's seen. Even the leaders out at the clones that were making the clones, they fell. So it was like, okay, I've seen a bunch of these leaders fall because they're trying to strike fear into everybody or brainwash everybody into think that they're the best leaders. Even the Tusken Raiders, I think even they're like, okay, these people rule with fear, or like they use fear to kind of manipulate people into being their slaves. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that because that'll eventually be the fall of me.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of think here is, Boba's like, hey, I am, I was able to earn the Tusken Raiders' respect by just being a nice guy, by respecting them, being honorable. And I then helped out the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, by being honorable. And I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to make people be honorable. I'm going to change the system because the system before wasn't working. The system with Jabba wasn't working. We see he's not even a big Empire fan, honestly. I mean, for all the people that say Boba Fett's a bad guy, like, if you watch The Mandalorian and you go to that chapter, The Tragedy, where Grogu's taken and he sees the Empire ships, he's like, they're back. And he's not very happy about it the way he sounds. So, it definitely seems to be that he does harbor some sort of resentment for the Empire. He was probably only working with them because they were the only game in town, honestly. And they kind of allowed bounty hunting more than the Republic did. Probably why he was kind of working with them. But, and probably because he was working with Jabba, who was also probably working with the Empire. So, I mean, there's multiple layers here. But I think he realized none of that was working. And now it's time for him to try it a different way and kind of run on this platform of respectability and I would say even maturity. Look, Boba Fett seen as a bad guy, Anakin Skywalker seen as a hero. Anakin Skywalker murdered a whole bunch of Tusken Raiders. I get it, they
And
killed
their
his
dogs.
mom. Yeah, it's even worse. But they
And
I know
young
they
children
I
too.
know, I know they killed his mom, but he says I treated them like animals. And what we've seen from Din Djarin in those episodes where he's communicating with them, he knows their language, and he treats them as if they're, actual living beings. And now Boba has shown that he can do that as well. I think that is it's nice to see this kind of difference with Tusken Raiders, because everybody kind of in the fandom treated them like animals as well. Just thinking that all they want to do is, be killers and stuff. But they have their own culture that we have not really been privy to. This set of Tusken Raiders had a lot more culture. They had wore different robes. They had a whole different look, which I thought was really cool to kind of get a different view of Tusken Raiders. What do you think about how they were dressed? They had like black robes.
I was going to say black robes, not like the traditional brown. And I think ultimately too, you're going to get more of these Tusken Raiders with Obi-Wan, because I think that he's going to have a ton of interactions with the Tusken Raiders, probably more so than I would say more so than the Mandalorian do, because I do think that Obi-Wan has to protect Luke for so long, and Luke doesn't know that these Tusken Raiders, which we do see, different interaction with Tusken Raiders. They're not just savages. They can also be very friendly and very kind. If you gain their respect, they're not just these savages that Anakin made them out to be, much like Vader made all of them sound to be. So I think that you're also going to get like a branch of different, like I think eventually you get more branches of Ewok. I think you get more branches of, I think you do start to see more of them branching out into different parts of the galaxy to tell other stories from people we don't know. The Wookiees, obviously, I think you've got different interactions with the Wookiees and people that don't like the Wookiees. Wherever Grogu ends up, I don't know where he ends up, but I'm sure there's more creatures out there that we don't know. But I think taking the traditional ones that we have these backstories for, like the Tusken Raiders, the whole time we see the Tusken Raiders, there's just monsters that kill Luke's family and all of them. I do think that there's more to it than just that. I think they're kind of like the Mandalorian. I guess they're very secretive. You just don't know much about them. And then once we break into those circles, I think you start to see more about the Tusken Raiders. And like you said, I love their new look too. I like the darker cloaks and the way that they just kind of, I like the kid too. Jordan, did you think that the kid was, I thought at first the kid was saying that he did the killing of the monster, but then I was like, well, that wouldn't make sense, because then I would think that if he killed the monster, then they would have not really cared what happened to Boba. They'd be like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, the kid killed it.
I think if the kid did say that, they don't believe him, because who's going to believe that little kid killed that huge monster?
And they've probably seen it before.
I think he is telling him, like, look what I have, but this guy saved my life. He choked the lizard when he could have let me die, because otherwise, you're right. Otherwise, I don't think the dad or the leader of the clan is going over and being like, have some water, Boba. So I do think he's telling him what happened. I mean, kids usually don't take the credit for other things. I mean, when I hang around my nephews, if I did something cool, they usually run over to whoever adult is around, and they'd be like, "Did you just see what Jay did? He just did this thing," So I kind of felt it was a very kid-like thing to do, run around and be like, look what this guy did. He killed this guy for me. He may not even said he killed him for me. He was like, look what this guy did. This guy did something awesome. He was like choking out the thing, and then the parents can kind of be more like, oh, okay. So if he didn't do that, then my kid's dead or something, And yeah, I like seeing this. It makes sense for them to wear different things. There's probably different cultures, within the Tusken Raiders as well. When it comes to like other clans and like real world and stuff, you might have some people that are considered the same type of person, but they could have different clans that have different cultures, might even have to, I mean, look at just people as a whole, right? Like we have different religions, different things. So it's conceivable that there'd be like some Tusken Raiders that might wear this because of this reason. Some Tusken Raiders might wear this because of a different reason. They might do different things like this, but they all kind of speak the same language or something.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with them, because I've heard so many people say they've got more story to tell too because of Obi-Wan, which makes sense. I mean, he's going to be on Tatooine, and it'll be more Tusken Raider dealings, I think. So, and
we'll be getting a lot of we're probably going to get more flashbacks. I think these flashbacks might be each episode type of thing, honestly, because we have a little 5-year gap.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to see him integrated into this Tusken Raider crew, and then see, how he's learning from them, how they're learning from him. I don't know. And then eventually he's going to find out Cobb Vanth has his armor, and then he probably puts the things in of, okay, I have to go now. I have to do my thing. But thank you for what you've done or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes out, because he clearly has the Tusken Raider things on his back. When you see him in the trailers and when you've seen him in Mando, he has he's obviously gained the respect enough for him to, and I think he trains with them too. So I think that'll be something. And I think that's kind of why they showed that battle scene, because he didn't quite bring that out yet, because you know what I mean? I think that he knows some things.
Well, that's where he learned it. What we saw in, Boba Fett's coming out party in The Mandalorian, in the tragedy, before he gets his armor back, he's beaten all these stormtroopers with a gaffy stick. He's learning it from them. So for all the people that were saying, well, Boba Fett got his ass kicked. Because he hasn't learned to fight this way yet. His whole time beforehand was fighting with guns and his rockets and, the way his dad did. But what Boba is morphing into is a mix of his dad and his bounty hunter side, a mix of his Tusken side now that he has learned. And he's able to be like a melee person, and also an actual firefighter, not like a firefighter, but like with guns and stuff like that.
I was just like, what is that movie? It's Jedi Ghost.
So in the cantina, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Max Rebo is back. He survived the destruction. He survived the destruction of Jabba's sail barge.
Is it really a Funko of him?
Oh, probably.
Sorry, there is. Okay, because I saw one of the Star Wars guys. Sorry to break your streak there, but yeah, he's got a Funko. I might need to get that. That's cute. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying? I will say that she does respect him. Like that's the whole thing of that cantina, was that she was basically saying, oh no, trust me, we're fine. We respect you. So you are the Lord.
Yeah, I wonder if there's more to that or not.
I think it's weird. Like I thought it was the whole thing was strange.
She's like a real actor, so I'm saying like she's been in other things. If this is all that she's in, I don't think that's the case. So there had to be some reason for this setup, and I'm wondering if she is maybe part of what's happening here. We didn't even get to really talk about it, but do you think, let's speculate, I guess, now. Do you think that the people that attacked are part of that future delegation that the mayor was sending? Is this payback for not giving a tribute, or is this some other reason he's being attacked here?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I'm gonna go with that they're different entities. I'm saying that while yes, the mayor's involved, I do think that some of it, I think there's something higher than what the mayor is. Like I think there's something else working with the mayor. I just don't know where all that plays in. I don't know if you know background information on it, but no. I don't feel like it doesn't quite make sense. I don't think, because I don't think that would be enough to be like, okay, I'm going to come after you. I feel like it warrant more of like a visit from the mayor to him rather than let me show you my army. Like you're the crime lord and let me just stomp you out. Like, why didn't the mayor step in then? Like who is the mayor? Like, why don't you just step in and take care of that information, that business that you need to take care of, and explain to Boba who you are and like why you are the big leader instead of just throwing your army out there.
Right.
It didn't make sense.
It'll be interesting. In the trailer, we do see him meet with the mayor at some point. The mayor is like an Arthurian, that we've seen in, I think he's in one of the first shots of the trailer. But I wonder where they're going to go with this. It is interesting that the mayor is so open about being fine with the crime lords, and it's interesting to see how they're going to go with this. Is most people going to side with Boba, or are they going to side with, and this is the way I think it's going to go, they're probably going to side with the way that it's always been. Usually when people try to make changes, it doesn't go over well. And yes, I know a lot of crime lords and stuff have honor systems and codes, but I'm not so sure these people are all that interested in being ruled with respect. I think they want to keep their slice of the pie, and the mayor's probably going to be upset that he's not getting some of that pie that he had maybe gotten from Bib Fortuna or even Jabba. So I think that would be very interesting to see. How is this going to go? What is this the whole story of the Book of Boba Fett? Is it about just taking over the Hutt, empire of Tatooine, or is this merely just the beginning? I think maybe this might be the whole show. We only got 7 episodes. We're going to have some flashbacks probably throughout I think most of the season, if it's only this season or if it's whatever, is going to be about him trying to change the political system and end up ruling them. And that will somehow feed into the Mandalorian, because remember, these are supposed to be like this new like MCU version, right? Where they're supposed to be building up to an event, Kathleen Kennedy said on yesterday last year, where you have this, Ahsoka, Mando, and the Book of Boba Fett, kind of leading up to a big climactic event. So just going forward, I think this might be a lot of setup here of, look, I'm expecting next episode to be another little slower pace one. These shows, usually take a bit. If you look at Mandalorian season 2, the first 3 episodes of that were a little slower and really building up to what we then got in the back half of the season. So I'm still expecting a slower episode. I'm expecting another shorter episode of maybe, again, 30 to 43 minutes. And we'll see how it goes. What are you expecting for next week?
I mean, yeah, I would say that we're going to get more into the flashbacks. I think we're going to get further progression into like maybe a conversation that he had with Jango Fett, or, something that happened after Jango died where he kind of, because I want to know now, like, where does Boba start to pick up the pieces? Because there's that lull in between when you see him looking at the helmet and when he's a small child, all the way up until where he falls in the Sarlacc pit, and then all the way until Mandalorian. So like, there's still so many pieces that you got to kind of fill in, and I want to know, how does he pick up the pieces? I think we're going to get that in the next episode. Like, how did he react after Jango had been killed? Like, how did he just go rampant and start killing? Like, did he go totally Ronin on us and like start killing everybody in the galaxy? Like, what did he do? Because when he was that small kid, that kid was like very vengeful, and I felt like he was he would go after the Jedi, like he wanted to go after the Jedi. I feel like Boba wants revenge for whatever happened, so he did that, and I think that's also going to build into this character that we have now that doesn't want to rule like that anymore, that doesn't want to be like that. I do feel like he's got some dark shadows that he's come out of, so I think we'll get some of that too. That's what I'm hoping for that, and I'm hoping that's what we get. I know we'll get some more backstory and flashbacks, so I'm going to save that for that. But I think what you said about them leading up to that big event, I do think if this is it for this show, I do think he or Fennec or whoever comes out of this goes back to Mando. And so I think that they go, that there's some kind of meshing in with Mando, obviously, to get to that big event. I do think he goes to that side where he's ruling Tatooine and Mando's out there doing whatever Mando's doing.
If only there was a cartoon animated show that explains what Boba between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Nobody. No, I'm kidding. Everybody is it Clone Wars? Is that the one?
Yes.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. He's in
Maybe
5
I'll go
episodes. He's in 5 episodes.
Is there a podcast that has done the road
a whole road to the Book of Boba Fett? Yeah.
Where do we find that again? Is that
you find
Star
it
Wars
here
Theory,
on the
right?
Podawakens?
Oh, sorry. Star Wars
but no,
Explained?
if you go to the Clone Wars, there is a mini plot line of him going after Mace Windu. Actually,
that's what
that
I've
was
heard,
like
people are like, oh, Mace Windu's going to come back. Like he's going to come back in the show. I'm like, there's no way that Samuel L. Jackson is going to do a.
Look, well, one, if you were to do it in this show, it would take all the focus off of Boba Fett,
That's
which
what
you
we
don't
all
want to do.
Yeah.
But you know what it is, right? It's the same thing with the Spider-Man Hawkeye stuff.
Yes.
It's literally the same thing. Unless if they were setting up a Sam Jackson Mace Windu
Which would
show.
be really cool, but
some of these characters have to stay dead.
In
Some
credit.
of these characters have to stay
No,
dead.
Palpatine came back.
Palpatine came back. Darth Maul has come back. All of these characters have come back.
Is it
Leave
Ahsoka?
a
Doesn't
few
she die
dead.
and come back?
No, she never died. No.
Does she never die? Okay.
No.
Maybe. Wait, no, but he does have a sister, doesn't he? Boba?
Boba, technically, I guess technically.
Yeah, it's the
But we don't know. Yeah, Omega from Bad Batch. Yeah. Now, we don't. The thing is, she's not going to tie into this, I don't think, because they're still making her story on Bad Batch. If you were to do that without wrapping up Bad Batch yet, which we're getting a season 2 of Bad Batch next year, and you just show her now, you're like, okay, well, obviously she's fine at the end of Bad Batch, so why do I continue watching this now?
See, now the multiverse makes sense, Jordan.
Yeah. We're gonna get a Boba
It's like
Fett
could you imagine Lucasfilm and Marvel all colliding in one? Strange comes out and absolutely just annihilates Mando.
Yeah, you know what? People would be like, but what's next? What's after this?
So wait, is Harry Potter coming soon?
Yeah, are we getting Harry Potter and DC next? Is that coming in next? Was that in the end credit scene? We need something. Okay,
so going forward, Jordan, what are your hopes for this show? Do you want Boba to? Do you want Hawkeye? Do you want him to be? Do you want this to be the end for him?
No, I think he will appear in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I think it could go two ways. There could be, if he takes over successfully, and if this is some sort of setup for that climactic event that they talked about, there has to be some sort of purpose on why we're watching this. So either Boba Fett holding Tatooine is somehow relevant to the future event, or he fails at this and, like you said, goes back to Mando. So I think those are your two options. He's either successful or he fails and somehow gets reintegrated into Mando season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Is there any chance that Fennec ends up not so good?
I guess so. I mean, she was really just created for this show. She has appeared in Bad Batch as well, actually.
Because her stuff matches the stuff that the others were wearing, kind of. Like, I thought that was kind of strange. Like, I just kind of thought.
Oh no, I don't think she's gonna be bad if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I thought you meant maybe end up dead. I mean, it's possible for that.
Well, I could see her dying, yes, but I don't see.
But no, I don't see her being like a bad guy because she does owe Boba for saving her life.
Yeah.
So I think she will take that to heart. She's honorable as well. She's a little bit more bloodthirsty than Boba.
I was going to say she's like
you sure you don't want me to kill him?
Assassin too, and that's what they said. The best part about this is both the actress and the actor that played Boba and Fennec are like upwards of 50-something years old, and they're out there just kicking butt.
Like 50 years old, yeah.
They're just kicking butt out there.
Tem is 60. Tim Morrison's like 60, and I think she's 50.
Yeah, they look great. Like it was a lot of fun to watch them. Just kind of in. You know, I like their chemistry together. Like I like the whole bounce back and forth when he's on the throne. Like, should we kill him? And like, no.
Well, she voices Mulan.
Yeah.
And she's also been in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for Marvel. So she's in the trifecta. She's done Disney, Star Wars, Marvel.
That's pretty wild.
It's pretty good.
She's called Disney Legend. I know a lot of people.
Yeah, she's a Disney legend.
So.
Well, she is. Yeah, she was.
Is she actually a legend?
I think she's officially been in it. Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah, she's great. I really like her, and I like that whole scene of the rooftop. I just like that he was like, "You go get her," and then he just decimates the one that tries to get up on the roof with it. He's finally like, "You know what? I'm tired of screwing around." So he just points the rocket up and just annihilates the.
Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about that. Yeah, it's like right after that, so he just blows up the guy.
He was tired of it.
And then he looks to Fennec and he says, "Keep him alive." And I'm like, "You just blew up a guy." But obviously he was pissed off. But he obviously also wants to know who is behind this. And I think that's what we probably open up with.
Like, you think
here's my
with
guess.
That person?
Here's my guess. We open up with a flashback again. We get to the title card. He gets out of the back to tank. And then they start, and Fennec comes in with this guy and they start interrogating. That's how I would start the episode next. I'm not Jon Favreau, though, so I don't know what's going to happen.
I will say, going from like watching Mando and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni do these, it was like watching them go from one episode to the next. It is very the progression between the two, it like picks up right where it left off.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're right. Like, I feel like it'll lead into them being on a ship and then being like, "Who are you?"
Right. Yeah, I think they'll be in Jabba's palace. He'll get out of the tank and he'll be like, "Oh, so this is the guy. All right, who do you work for? And I can kill you, or I'll rule you with respect." That'll be his tagline throughout the whole series, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else to talk about with this one?
What did you rate it out of 10? What are you giving it?
8.
Okay.
I forgot I was going to say. I mean, it's a slower start. When I saw everybody, I usually try to avoid spoilers. I saw a lot of people say there's nothing to spoil, which is true, honestly. Not much happened. But it's good character moments. So I kind of was able to put it in my mind that, okay, not a lot of stuff is going to happen here. There's no Grogu at the end of this that'll light the universe on fire like the end of Mandalorian. So it, just kind of enjoy yourself. And I just kind of sat there last night and the dogs were quiet. So I was actually able to watch it on the big screen downstairs instead of the bedroom where we've been watching Hawkeye and stuff. I just kind of sat there and enjoyed it for a bit, the 38 minutes. And then I was like, wow, that was it. And I didn't have any problems with it. I thought, Boba Fett was portrayed correctly. I didn't see any issues with the way he was portrayed. I thought it was a good pace, honestly. I thought we got more flashbacks than I thought we were going to get. Maybe a little light on the present day stuff, but you still get enough intrigue of, okay, he was just an assassination attempt type of thing. So
I do think we go from here? Like the last 3 episodes are going to be much more
present day. I think we'll run out of flashbacks or meaningful flashbacks, I think, halfway through. And I think then you might get a lot more focus on present day stuff and all that. I don't know how action-packed this show will be, though. I think it does have a little bit more of a Godfather or political aspect where it's going to be a lot of talk about how the crime stuff is run.
Yeah.
And not so much about, let's blow them up.
Yeah, it's much more chess. Like, it feels much more like calculated, which he has to be, like the way that he's trying to rule. Like, if he's not going to rule with fear, he's got to rule with respect. Well, respect's gained normally through communication and building strong bonds with people and having trust between people. And then when that trust falters, that's when he gets involved. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see like what other crime lords he runs in, or other people that he runs into that are also part of this like crime ring that he's going to be involved with. Because I do think he's going to get more. Like, that's the other thing that made me think like those soldiers were somebody different. Like, if this is really the Godfather or something like that mafia mentality, I think it's going to be more of like these are multiple people coming after the throne.
Yeah, I think
they all want to be crime lords.
I think the mayor, while he's a mayor, I think he wants a little bit more in on this and probably wants to be the head honcho.
He's like Fisk.
above. Yeah. He wants to be the kingpin of Tatooine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm really excited to see how this goes. Over the weeks here. I saw some people complain we didn't get 2 episodes.
No, I don't want this to drag out.
I think this was fine. Hawkeye got 2 episodes because you literally didn't even have them meet until the end of the first episode.
Plus, you had to get Spider-Man.
You had to get Spider-Man, and then you also had to make room for this. Like, they didn't want these 2 overlapping.
Because there's something coming. Is it Echo that's coming after this? They don't ever want Lucas and Marvel.
Moon Knight. Yeah, Moon Knight comes
is it?
after this, I think. But they also, they don't usually want the overlap, but also, could you imagine having the finale and then having to choose to watch this or the finale? And it's just so much easier to separate them. Plus, they really wanted to get this released holiday of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
They just made it with the 2 days leeway here. So that's probably why they also doubled up Hawkeye. Because if they had done Hawkeye today and then Boba Fett next week, you're in 2022, and they would have been like missing the holiday of 2021. So there's a lot of things that kind of played into that, I think. But if you want to give us your feedback, you can follow us on Twitter at podawakens, facebook.com/podawakens or podawakens, or email us podawakens@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. We also do a Marvel podcast. Logan was just on talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you are interested in that, you can find us over at To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. That's TO Infinity Saga on Twitter and facebook.com/ I have it written down here somewhere. Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond, or email us marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. But you can look us up there. We did Spider-Man. I'm going to have my friend Jack on. He's been on this show before, but we're going to have him on. We're going to do a create your own MCU trilogy where you take 3 movies that have a similar plot thread and create your own trilogy. Like, let's say
Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. No, but you could do like a Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. Because Civil War, the Avengers break up. They mention that in Infinity War, and then they mention it again in Endgame and come together. So you can kind of do like threads like that, or maybe something like Civil War, Black Panther, Homecoming. There's similar threads in there that you can kind of. We're going to do that. We're also going to rank the official trilogies as they exist, like the Thor trilogies, the Iron Man trilogy, Captain America trilogy, and the Spider-Man trilogy that just wrapped up. So we're doing kind of a trilogy ranking and create your own trilogy coming up sometime soon in the new year. But other than that, I hope everyone has a great rest of your 2021 and a happy 2022. And we'll see you next week.
I have spoken.
It's over, Anakin!